il proprietario ci ha chiamato al 113, ma non sappiamo il motivo, ha chiesto.
Case file 003. Every 911 call has one thing in common. The emergency is happening right now. Or it has already happened. But on October 14th, at exactly 2:17 in the morning, a dispatcher received a call that didn't follow either rule. A terrified woman whispered, "Please hurry. He's already inside." Then, the line went dead. Police reached the address in less than 6 minutes. Every door was locked. Every window was secure. The family was asleep. Nothing had happened. No signs of forced entry. No missing property. No injured victims. The officers assumed it was another false alarm. They cleared the scene and closed the report. Exactly 24 hours later, at 2:17 a.m., another 911 call came from the same house. This time, everything the first caller had described was really happening. The impossible part wasn't the crime. It was the recording. That proved someone had reported it one day before it happened. The night shift always felt different. After midnight, 911 calls became quieter, but somehow more unsettling. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I had been a 911 dispatcher for almost 9 years. Long enough to recognize fear just by the sound of someone's breathing. Most calls followed a pattern. A medical emergency, a house fire, a car accident, a domestic dispute. People cried. People screamed. Sometimes they couldn't even speak. But every call started the same way, with a location. Because without an address, the police couldn't help anyone. October 14th started like every other shift. I clocked in at 10 p.m., grabbed a cup of stale coffee, put on my headset, and logged into the emergency dispatch system. By 2 a.m., the city had gone quiet. Only a few traffic stops. One noise complaint. Nothing unusual. Then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., my screen lit up. Incoming 911 call. No caller ID. No registered name. Only a location. 147 Hawthorne Lane. I answered immediately. 911, what's your emergency? For a moment, there was only silence. Not complete silence. I could hear someone breathing. Fast. Uneven. Like they were trying not to make a sound. Then, a woman's voice whispered. So softly, I almost missed it. Please? Send someone. He's inside. I straightened in my chair. Tell me your name. No answer. Are you injured? Another long silence. Then, I heard something strange. A grandfather clock. Ringing twice. Followed by the sound of glass breaking. The woman whispered again. He's coming upstairs. My heart started racing. I immediately dispatched the nearest patrol units. 2 officers accepted the call. Within seconds. While they were driving, I stayed on the line. If you can hear me, stay hidden. Help is on the way. I expected panic. Crying. Running footsteps. Instead, the line became perfectly quiet. Then, a single loud crack echoed through the phone. And the call disconnected. I tried calling back immediately. No answer. The patrol cars arrived. 5 minutes later, I watched their body camera feed. From the dispatch monitor, the front door was locked. No broken windows. No signs of forced entry. The officers knocked repeatedly. A middle-aged man opened the door. wearing pajamas. He looked confused. Behind him, his wife and teenage daughter had just been woken up. The officers searched the entire house. Every bedroom, every closet, the basement, the backyard. Nothing. No intruder. No broken glass. No grandfather clock. Nothing that matched what I had just heard. One officer radioed back. "Dispatch. House is secure. Looks like a false alarm." I looked back at the recording timer. Still frozen on my screen. 3 minutes. 42 seconds. Everything about that call felt real. The fear. The whisper. The breaking glass. But according to every officer at the scene, none of it had ever happened. I saved the recording, flagged it for review, and moved on to the next emergency. At the time, I had no idea that 24 hours later, I would listen to that same recording again and realize it had been telling the truth. The next evening, I almost forgot about the call. It had already been marked as a false alarm. The recording was stored. The report was closed. And the officers had moved on to other cases. I started another night shift. At exactly 10 p.m., everything felt normal. Too normal. Around midnight, I opened the previous night's report. One last time. Something kept bothering me. The woman's voice. It didn't sound confused. It sounded certain. As if she already knew what was about to happen. I played the recording again. Every word. Every breath. Every second. Then, I heard something I had completely missed before. In the background, a television was playing. Very quietly. A news anchor was speaking. The words weren't clear, but one sentence stood out. Expected to arrive tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, the woman had said. He's already inside. But the television was talking about tomorrow. I paused the recording, rewound it, played it again. The sentence was still there. A chill ran through my body. Before I could think any further, my headset beeped. Incoming 911 call. I looked at the clock. 2:17 a.m. Exactly. For a second, I couldn't move. The address appeared on my screen. 147 Hawthorne Lane. The same house. The same family. I answered immediately. 911, what's your emergency? This time, there was no whisper. There was screaming. Real screaming. The same woman cried out. He's in the house. Please. He's coming upstairs. Behind her. Glass shattered. A man yelled. A child screamed. Everything I had heard the previous night was happening again. Word for word. Sound for sound. My hand started shaking. I dispatched every available unit. Multiple officers responding. Possible home invasion. The patrol cars arrived in less than 5 minutes. But unlike the previous night, the front door was already open. The living room was destroyed. Broken glass covered the floor. Furniture had been overturned. There were fresh footprints leading toward the second floor. One officer shouted, "Dispatch! We have victims!" I froze. Those were the exact words I remembered hearing through the recording. Not almost the same. Exactly the same. When the first officer's body camera footage was reviewed later, every sound, every scream, every radio transmission matched the recording from the night before, down to the second. It was impossible. The first call hadn't predicted the crime. It had somehow recorded it 24 hours early. And from that moment, the investigation stopped being about who broke into the house. It became about who had made the impossible call. By sunrise, the story had reached every department. Patrol officers, detectives, crime scene investigators. Everyone had heard about the impossible 911 recording. The house on Hawthorne Lane was sealed off. Yellow police tape surrounded the entire property. Every room was photographed. Every fingerprint was collected. Every piece of broken glass was labeled as evidence. Detectives interviewed the family for nearly 6 hours. The mother survived. The father suffered a gunshot wound to his shoulder. Their teenage daughter escaped through a bedroom window and called for help from a neighbor's house. But one question kept returning. What happened the night before? The family looked confused. They all gave the same answer. Nothing. No strange noises. No suspicious vehicles. No threats. No warning. The previous night had been completely normal. Meanwhile, I was asked to hand over the original 911 recording. Not a copy. The original file, stored automatically on the emergency dispatch server. The digital forensics team checked everything. The file's creation time, the server logs, the backup records, even the system clock. They were looking for any sign that someone had edited the recording. They found nothing. According to every digital record, the call had entered the system at exactly 2:17 a.m., 24 hours before the attack. One investigator suggested someone had replaced the file. Another believed the timestamp had been manipulated. The forensic examiner shook his head. If someone altered this, they also altered 3 backup servers and every automated log without leaving a trace. No one can do that. The room fell silent. Then, a detective asked me to listen to both recordings, one after another. The first recording from the previous night. Then, the audio captured during the actual attack. I closed my eyes and listened carefully. The same screams, the same footsteps, the same breaking glass. Even the officer's radio crackled at the exact same moment. It wasn't similar. It was identical. Every sound matched perfectly. As the second recording ended, I noticed something no one else had mentioned. Right before the woman screamed, there was another voice. Very faint. Almost impossible to hear. It wasn't the intruder. It wasn't the victim. It sounded like a man whispering directly into the phone. The audio technician isolated the sound, increased the volume, removed the background noise. The room became completely silent as the hidden voice played through the speakers. Only 4 words could be understood. Don't answer tomorrow's call. Every detective looked at me because I was the dispatcher who had answered it. And somehow, whoever had whispered those words already knew there would be another call. No one spoke for almost a minute. The recording ended, but those 4 words kept echoing inside the room. Don't answer tomorrow's call. The lead detective looked directly at me. Sarah, did anyone else hear that voice during the original call? I slowly shook my head. No. If I had, I never would have forgotten it. The audio technician replayed the recording again and again. Each time, the hidden voice became clearer. It wasn't loud. It wasn't distorted. It sounded calm. Almost like someone leaving a warning. The detective paused the recording. "Can we identify the speaker?" The technician sighed. "I'll try." Over the next 6 hours, the lab isolated every layer of audio. The woman's voice. The breaking glass. The footsteps. The police radio. Even the faint hum of an air conditioner. Then, they separated the hidden whisper. The computer generated a voice profile. Male. Approximately 40 years old. North American accent. No exact match. The profile was compared against every person involved in the case. The father. The neighbors. The responding officers. Emergency dispatch staff. Known offenders. Nothing. Not a single match. Late that evening, one of the detectives noticed something unusual. The whisper didn't travel through the phone line the way the other voices did. Its audio pattern was different. Cleaner. Closer. Almost as if the speaker had been standing next to the microphone itself. That made no sense. The only person near the phone was the woman making the call. Unless someone else had been standing beside her. The investigators returned to the house. Every room was measured. Every wall was inspected. They searched for hidden cameras, secret passages, recording devices, anything. They found nothing. Then, a crime scene photographer asked to see the family photographs. Most of them were completely ordinary. Birthdays, vacations, graduation. Until one picture caught everyone's attention. It had been taken exactly 1 week before the attack. The family was smiling in the living room. Behind them, standing near the staircase, was a man. No one recognized him. The father stared at the photograph. "I've never seen him before." The mother looked confused. "That person wasn't in our house." The daughter began crying because she remembered something. The night before the attack, she thought she saw someone standing at the top of the stairs. She assumed she had imagined it. She never told anyone. The detective slowly placed the photograph next to the audio report. Then he quietly said, "I don't think this case started the night of the attack. I think someone had already been inside that house days before the first 911 call." And at that exact moment, another detective rushed into the room, holding a printed report. His face had turned pale. "We just found something. The same unknown man appears in 3 other unsolved case photographs, taken in 3 different states, over 15 years. And in every one of those cases, a 911 call was made before the crime happened. Within 48 hours, the investigation had expanded nationwide. The FBI was notified, not because of the home invasion, but because of the pattern. For different states, 5 separate investigations, 17 years apart. And in every case, there was one impossible detail: a 911 call received before the crime occurred. The detectives pinned every photograph onto a large evidence board. Different cities, different victims, different years. But hidden in the background was the same man. Sometimes he was standing across the street. Sometimes inside a crowded parking lot. Once, he appeared in the reflection of a store window. He never looked at the camera. He never smiled. He simply appeared. The image analysts enlarged every photograph. His face was clear enough to identify. Or at least, it should have been. They ran it through driver's license. Leaving it in one frame. He simply wasn't there. In the next, he was standing behind me. 3 seconds later, he was gone again. No hallway footage. No elevator footage. Nothing. The investigators believed the camera had malfunctioned. Until they checked every other camera. Parking lot. Lobby. Street corner. Reception desk. On every camera, At exactly the same second, the image froze for less than 1 frame. When the picture returned, the man was gone. It became impossible to explain. The FBI closed the investigation. 6 months later. Official conclusion? No identifiable suspect. No evidence of coordinated criminal activity. Case inactive. The Hawthorne family moved to another state. The retired detective took early retirement. The audio analyst refused to work on emergency recordings again. As for me, I resigned. 3 weeks later. People always ask, why? The answer is simple. 1 week before I left, for a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hands began to shake. The detective's words kept repeating in my mind. The man is standing behind you. I slowly turned around. The laboratory was empty. Only the audio analyst was sitting across the room. No one else. I whispered, "What photograph?" The detective didn't answer. He simply said, "I'm sending it now." A notification appeared on my phone. One image, taken less than an hour earlier. It showed me walking into the police building, coffee in one hand, case files in the other, and behind me, standing only a few feet away, was the same unidentified man. Black jacket, grey cap, hands in his pockets, looking directly at the camera. Not at me. At the camera. Security immediately reviewed every surveillance video. The strange part wasn't that they couldn't identify him. The strange part was that he never appeared, walking into the building or leaving it in one frame. He simply wasn't there. In the next, he was standing behind me. 3 seconds later, he was gone again. No hallway footage. No elevator footage. Nothing. The investigators believed the camera had malfunctioned until they checked every other camera. Parking lot, lobby, street corner, reception desk. On every camera, at exactly the same second, the image froze for less than 1 frame. When the picture returned, the man was gone. It became impossible to explain. The FBI closed the investigation. 6 months later. Official conclusion? No identifiable suspect. No evidence of coordinated criminal activity. Case inactive. The Hawthorne family moved to another state. The retired detective took early retirement. The audio analyst refused to work on emergency recordings again. As for me, I resigned. 3 weeks later. People always ask, why? The answer is simple. 1 week before I left, I received a routine 911 call. No panic. No screaming. Just silence. Then, a calm male voice said, "Good choice. You stopped answering tomorrow's calls." The line disconnected. There was no phone number. No location. No trace. The system recorded that the call had never existed. Sometimes, I still wake up at exactly 2:17 in the morning. I check the time without thinking. Then I remember that impossible recording, the hidden voice, the man in the photographs, and one question that no investigator ever answered. If someone knew tomorrow's emergency, who was trying to warn us today? Case file 003. Status: unresolved.